September 2025. This was a month that will be etched into India's memory for years to come. It was a time when nature unleashed its full, unrelenting fury upon the nation. From the fertile plains of Punjab to the sacred mountains of Uttarakhand, a series of catastrophic events unfolded with shocking speed. What began as heavy monsoon rains quickly spiraled into a multi-state disaster, a crisis of immense proportions that tested the spirit and resilience of an entire country. The skies opened up, and the rivers, once lifelines, turned into forces of destruction, swelling and overflowing their banks with a power that had not been witnessed in decades. It was a relentless assault, a month-long battle against the elements. This was not just one isolated disaster, it was a chain reaction, a cascade of calamities that struck northern India with brutal force. In Punjab, unusually heavy monsoon rains in the upper catchment areas of Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir started the crisis. Pong Ranjit Sagar Bakra. The result was a deluge that swallowed vast swathes of land. Simultaneously, a separate tragedy was unfolding in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand, where a sudden and violent flash flood tore through the landscape, leaving a trail of destruction and heartbreak in its wake, reminding everyone of the fragility of life in the mountains. The weather systems fueling this devastation were complex and persistent. Meteorologists at the Indian Meteorological Department tracked the patterns with growing alarm. A low-pressure area forming over the Bay of Bengal threatened to bring even more rain to already saturated regions. Another system, a depression that formed over southwestern Rajasthan on September 6th, added to the widespread chaos. It felt as though the nation was under siege from all directions, with each new weather update bringing more grim news and deepening the sense of anxiety that had gripped millions of people across the affected states. This was not simply a story about weather patterns or hydrological data. It was a story about survival. It was a story of communities caught in the path of raging floodwaters, of families losing their homes, their livelihoods, and in the most tragic cases, their loved ones. The disaster paralyzed daily life, forcing the closure of schools and colleges across entire states as a desperate safety precaution. The roads turned into rivers, fields into lakes, and homes into watery graves. The scale of the crisis was staggering, a shocking reminder of humanity's vulnerability in the face of nature's awesome and terrifying power, setting the stage for one of the largest rescue and relief operations in recent memory. The numbers only begin to tell the story of the devastation. In Punjab alone, the floods were declared the worst in nearly 4 decades, unseen since the catastrophic floods of 1988. Around 1,400 villages across more than 13 districts were engulfed. Ravi B. Sutlej. The impact on human life was immediate and severe. Official reports confirmed the floods claimed 37 lives. 3 others remained missing, their fates unknown. Each number was a family torn apart, a community in mourning, a future stolen by raging waters. The district-wise breakdown revealed widespread suffering. Gurdaspur, 1,45,000 people impacted. Amritsar, over 1,17,000. Firozpur, nearly 40,000. Fazilka, over 21,500. Farmers watched their crops drown. Shopkeepers saw businesses washed away. Families fled with only the clothes on their backs. Their world submerged under muddy water. In Uttarakhand, a different tragedy played out. A flash flood struck on August 5th in Uttarkashi. It cast a long shadow into September. At least 5 people died. More than 50 were unaccounted for, families left in limbo. The Kir Ganga River overflowed. Was it a cloudburst, a glacial lake outburst, or a landslide? For victims, cause mattered less than consequence. As September progressed, the crisis demanded a national response. Prime Minister Narendra Modi scheduled visits to affected regions. The government closed educational institutions until September 7th. Rescue and relief operations launched on a war footing. Indian Army, Air Force, BSF, NDRF. It was a month of loss and fear, a determined struggle to survive, and the incredible bravery of those who risked everything. It began with the rain. Not the gentle, life-giving monsoon showers that farmers in Punjab pray for, but a relentless, punishing downpour that felt like an assault from the heavens. In the upper catchment areas, particularly in the neighboring state of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, The monsoon of August 2025 was unusually fierce. The clouds gathered, dark and heavy, and then burst, releasing torrents of water that cascaded down the Himalayan slopes. This was the first act in a tragedy that would soon engulf the plains below. The ground, already saturated from weeks of rain, could not absorb another drop. The water had nowhere to go but into the streams and tributaries that feed Punjab's mighty rivers. The situation was catastrophically amplified by the release of surplus water from major dams. The dam authorities faced an impossible choice: risk a catastrophic dam failure or open the spillway gates. They chose to open the gates. This was unnecessary for structural integrity, but devastating in consequence. The release of water was not a trickle, it was a deluge upon a deluge. Water levels rose suddenly, overwhelming downstream districts. It was a man-made contribution to a natural disaster. Millions of lives were being washed away. Across more than 13 districts, an estimated 1,400 villages were consumed by the deluge. The morning trip to the fields, the chatter of children on their way to school, the gathering of elders under the village banyan tree, were all silenced. For the villagers, it was a battle for survival. Families scrambled to higher ground, seeking refuge on rooftops. As a critical safety precaution, schools and colleges across Punjab were ordered to close. But as the crisis deepened, the shutdown was extended until September 7th. Neighbors helped neighbors. Young men formed makeshift rescue teams, using tractors or small boats to ferry the elderly and children to safety. But the scale of the disaster was overwhelming. In village after village, the story was the same. Marooned families, dwindling supplies, and a desperate wait for rescue. Just as the nation's attention was focused on the catastrophic floods in the north, the monsoon crisis opened a new, unexpected front, the arid, sandy landscape of Rajasthan. On September 6, 2025, a low-pressure area associated with remnants of Typhoon Nongfa consolidated into a depression over southwestern Rajasthan. Within a day, on September 7, the system rapidly intensified to deep depression. This powerful weather system acted like a massive engine, feeding weather patterns already causing havoc in Punjab and Uttarakhand. The widening crisis stretched emergency resources to the breaking point. It transformed regional disasters into a national emergency. With thousands stranded, the government declared rescue and relief would be on a war footing. Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Border Security Force, National Disaster Response Force, IAF choppers became a symbol of hope. They winched families from rooftops. On the ground, Army and NDRF in inflatable boats, often in complete darkness. Another army of heroes was emerging. Organizations like the Khalsa Aid and local Gurudwara committees immediately began organizing langars. Hindus worked side by side. Sikhs worked side by side. Muslims worked side by side, their common humanity transcending religious and social barriers. The most visible and widespread of these measures was the closure of educational institutions, a stark admission of the ongoing danger. The Chandigarh-based director of the IMD, Surinder Pal, offered a much-needed ray of light for Punjab, predicting a significant decrease in rainfall in the state until September 8th. It suggested a potential window of opportunity, a brief respite from the heavens, that would allow relief operations to accelerate and the floodwaters to hopefully begin their slow retreat. The month of September 2025 will forever be remembered as a time of immense trial for India, a period when nature's fury left an indelible scar upon the nation's landscape and psyche. The crisis was a mosaic of human tragedy, each piece representing a life lost, a home destroyed, or a future thrown into uncertainty. Yet from this crucible of suffering, incredible stories of resilience emerged. This resilience is the enduring legacy of this tragic chapter. As the floodwaters slowly begin to recede, they leave behind a daunting path of reconstruction. One of the most critical lessons is the undeniable reality of a changing climate, the need for more granular, real-time alerts that reach the last mile, remote villages most at risk. Strengthening community-level preparedness is another vital lesson. The resilience we witnessed must be nurtured and institutionalized from the ground up. Recovery is not just rebuilding what was lost. It is building back better, wiser, and with respect for natural forces. Let the memory of lives lost fuel a national commitment to a safer, more resilient India. It is a debt we owe to the victims and a promise to future generations. Like and subscribe, please.